Now on Emeritus Newsbrief, I'm Lynn Houston. President Obama hands Congress his proposed budget. It increases taxes on the wealthy to pay for more health care for the poor and provide tax cuts for the middle class. It also brings us the biggest deficit in history. The president's budget proposes $634 billion for expanding health care coverage, paid for by $318 billion over 10 years from increased taxes paid by the wealthy or those making more than $250,000 a year. Another portion of the money to pay for health care would come from reducing payments to health care providers, including hospitals and insurance companies for Medicare and Medicaid. Tax cuts for the middle class of $400 yearly. This was part of the new Stimulus Act and takes effect as less tax required for federal withholding, beginning April 1st. The budget proposal also reestablishes the tax cuts approved by Congress and President Bush in 2001 and 2003, which was to expire next year. However, the tax cuts would expire next year for those making more than $250,000 a year. During a news conference, the president announced some good news. The Stimulus Act funds to pay for health insurance subsidies for those who lose their jobs is now available.
Because of crushing health care costs and the fact that they drag down our economy, bankrupt our families, and represent the fastest growing part of our budget, we must make it a priority to give every single American quality, affordable health care. That's why this budget builds on what we have already done over the last month to expand coverage for millions more children, to computerize health records, to cut waste and reduce medical errors, which save, by the way, not only tax dollars but lives. With this budget, we are making a historic commitment to comprehensive health care reform. It's a step that will not only make families healthier and companies more competitive, but over the long term, it will also help us bring down our deficit.
See a copy of Obama's proposal on the Emeritus News National World page. You can see the president's entire news conference after this news brief on the Emeritus News window. A major layoff announcement from Morgan Chase. The bank says it'll be laying off 12,000 employees to complete the takeover of Washington Mutual. Also, Nortel announced it was cutting 3,000 more jobs in addition to those announced last year. And the Labor Department says the number of Americans getting unemployment compensation has reached a record 5 million people. Last week, another 667,000 initial claims were filed. That's an increase of 36,000 from the previous week. And the Department of Commerce says the durable goods orders last month were down 5.2%. That was about 3% more than expected. And a hearing Wednesday before the Senate Special Committee on Aging finds that baby boomers' losses for retirement wealth may be their children's gain. That from Dean Baker, co-director of the Center for Economic and Policy Research.
Just very quickly, a point on intergenerational equity that for whatever reason I don't think has been fully appreciated. The loss in wealth that we've seen due to the collapse of the housing bubble and the stock market collapse is an intergenerational transfer. What we've seen was a loss on the order of $15 trillion of wealth, which is overwhelmingly held by older people. Young people don't have wealth. This is, in effect, a huge loss to the older generations. It's, in effect, a gain to the younger generations. They will be able to buy homes at 30–40% below the prices they anticipated just 2 years ago, and they'll be able to buy our nation's capital stock on the stock market for half the price they would have paid just 1.5 years ago. When we have discussions of intergenerational equity, and we've just had a transfer of wealth on the order of $15 trillion from those who are older to those who are younger, it's a little hard for me to see that we're doing some injustice to those who are younger. I hope that Congress will take that in consideration when it thinks about policy for Social Security and Medicare in the future.
On the Emeritus News homepage, details of tighter requirements for small business administration loans and a bigger effort by the government to give education loans. And the latest efforts in Congress to give bankruptcy judges the power to lower mortgage payments. The latest on the biggest issues and public policy at emeritusnews.com. That's an Emeritus News Brief. I'm Lynn Houston.